Hello, and a warm welcome back to the TNC Podcast, your go-to Norwich City listen. Fear not, Norwich City may not be winning the championship, but there's still room for automatic promotion. Chris?
Cheers, old boy.
Good to see you. We're somewhere new.
Yeah, we are.
It was amazing. Coming down your sort of mile-long driveway, met by your security guards at the door. You moved house, haven't you?
TNC's got some head, mate.
Yeah, the ivory tower of Chris Reeve.
No, for clarity, that's definitely not the case. But yes, I have moved house.
But the exciting thing is,
go on.
So this is our first ever podcast filmed in this studio.
Yes, studio.
And people will now get to see the evolution of the room.
Yeah.
And they can maybe give us ideas.
Well, I did see a couple of people, they were actually quite sad at the thought of that original setup not being anymore. Of course, you have still got the TNC shrine. That is there. The hats are there for now. But
it's remarkable now because we've now filmed in 3 different properties that you've owned.
Yeah.
Flat,
Crazy.
House, now here.
Oh, the flat. I forgot about the dodgy flat.
We had Russell Martin around there.
Yeah, sweating profusely.
It was very sweaty.
It's probably sweating more now at Swansea as well.
How's things?
Good. Really good.
It's been a little while since it's just been us two.
Yeah, I can't even remember when it was. When was it? It was. I'll tell you what it was. It was after Wagner's first game and we were like, that's it, we're going to win the league. Burnley going to drop off and we'll take it all.
Yeah. What? No, did we?
Not? Oh, no,
I think it was the
Cobb?
cup game.
Was it after Cobb? It was after... Oh, God.
I think it may have been... Anyway,
I've lost my brain recently.
On last week's show, we had David Wagner. And I suspect a lot of you have already watched it. If you haven't, it's on the channel. It's on all of the usual podcast platforms.
Can I just quickly interrupt, as always? I can't believe you've just casually dropped that in there. Last week we had David Wagner. Like, you just sort of said that as if it was like nothing.
It's fun, wasn't it?
Can I just take a moment to say, like, that is actually mental?
Yeah, it's fun. And I still can't get a shirt with the actual sponsor on.
Yeah, what? And the sponsor on that is... You need to sort that out.
You know what exercise is bad for you for many reasons.
Right.
And this is one of them, because I've been doing a lot more exercise recently. So I've been wearing my sporting apparel a lot more. And I've been washing it. And the more you wash something...
Yeah. Well, you know why that is, don't you?
Why?
It's because it's the shitty Yarmouth water.
Yeah, hard water. Well, I need one like yours where it's not actually stuck on, it's sort of sewn in.
I was actually forced by Jack to change my shirt before we started,
rightly so.
Because I opted for that classic this evening, but I've gone back to the original. David Wagner, let's say a massive thank you to the listeners, to the watchers around the world, for all of your support. Phenomenal. And that David Wagner podcast, it was just mad. Like, the fact that it happened, the fact that he was in a room with us after we were talking about him getting his wand out the week before. The response was great, wasn't it? Because people could understand, like, the man a lot more. They could understand what he's about, and that's exactly what we wanted to do. Like, provide that insight. And
I mean, the remarkable thing with that is with all of the podcasts we've done, whether it be players or current players, whoever, journalists, like, their affiliation with Norwich has often been over the span of years. And David, at the time in which we filmed that, I think he'd been there under 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And he'd managed three games.
We didn't actually have much to talk about.
So in terms of Norwich, like, he's still living in a hotel. I won't say which hotel. Like, he doesn't really know the area.
Yeah.
He's been with the players probably for a combined, 9 days.
He's probably still learning their names, isn't he?
So
we taught him one new name, didn't we? Daldinho.
That he liked that, didn't he? He liked that. As long as he does his defensive duties.
It really got him going, Daldinho.
But I was really impressed by him.
Yeah, I was. And do you know, I guess the thing to share with everyone is that what really struck me, Jack, is, like, obviously on camera it's pretty obvious how he presented himself, but before the camera started and after the camera was turned off, he is so warm. And I talk about this all the time. One of our sponsors, Gasway, warmth matters is their business tagline, and I think that's true. And Wagner, he comes across as someone that is warm. But what I like about him is he has this aura of respect. And so when we were obviously questioning him, and before the show and after the show, we were obviously sort of sounding each other out. But whilst we were talking, and I was obviously doing my usual thing where I'm trying to get a bit more out of the guest, or I'm just trying to open them up really to share something with us. And it got a bit like, almost like, for me, slightly uncomfortable. Like I was like, oh my God, am I going to piss him off by saying this? Like, I was like, oh, but I like that.
I like some of the questions you asked, he didn't want to answer, but instead of like dancing around it like a politician, he just went,
No.
I'm not answering it. And I really like that because he set boundaries.
Yeah, that's good.
The thing I noticed with David, I'm still so close to calling him Daniel. The thing I noticed with David a lot, and I think he'll get a lot of comparisons to Farke because of maybe the style of play and he's German, etc. But they're very different people. Like I noticed with David, he'll just burst out in laughter. As you say, very warm. I noticed that straight away.
Yeah.
And we never did a podcast with Farke, but he was very kind of charismatic, but in a different way.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever heard Farke laugh.
I think he was too cool for school, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Maybe on a touch of arrogant rather than
The thing I loved about Wagner though is he clearly just adores football, because we were filming on the night of, I think it was Spurs against Fulham.
Yeah, say that because that's interesting.
And we were meant to start filming at 7.
Yeah.
Which would have given us, well, anyway, we were meant to start filming at 7. There was a crash on the A47.
Yes.
Which meant we were really late getting there. So we didn't start filming until about 20 past 7.
Yeah.
And initially he'd said...
Can I just say, that was a nightmare, by the way.
It was a nightmare.
People don't know that. Like, Jack was almost crying in the front seat,
I was thinking
us there.
our biggest podcast was going to be ruined.
And we were going to be late for David Wagner. Anyway, sorry.
Well, anyway, he was like, you can ask me anything, you can do whatever. My only thing I'll say is, can we finish by 8? Because I want to watch Spurs against Fulham.
As you do.
Because he just wants to watch players and take in tactical bits. So he clearly adores football. But I think what people might want to know, Chris, is, I guess we explained a little bit with the Atanasios, but I think that was slightly different. Like how these things come about, the process.
Yeah.
Because that is interesting. Like I love hearing about Michael Bailey, how he got interviews, and Chris Gorham, etc.
Yeah.
So current head coach of Norwich City.
Yes.
2 weeks into job.
Yeah.
How does it happen?
Well, yeah. So effectively, it started from the Atanasios. Obviously, the club allowed it, but Mike and Mark had said to us that they wanted to do it, and they very much drove that, which I think is really powerful for people to know just how much they care about fan engagement. That's big. Off the back of that, it was then Kenny. We were trusted with Kenny because Atanasios went down well. I'd said to the club around, I really want to help combat the stigma around him being the scapegoat, the social media abuse. To be fair, I'd been asking for that for a long time, so that was done. And then obviously I'd said as soon as the decision was made on David, I'd contacted the club rather than the other way around. And I said, look, I really, really want to have a conversation with him. We really want to have a conversation with him. And they decide, I mean, you'd have to speak to the football club, but they obviously decided to choose us. I'm so grateful for that. I suffer with imposter syndrome quite a lot, Jack. And I must admit, I've been like, afterwards I was like, oh my God, like what, we're not worthy of this. Do you know what I mean? But, for whatever reason, they wanted to choose us rather than the traditional press. And I think what's important to say, Jack, is because I've people know, during the week, last week, there was all sorts of social media nonsense,
conspiracy
theories, and all of the lies, literally just fabrication around us as a channel and why we do what we do and how we do it and all this stuff. So hopefully we can put some fires out in this podcast, not fires, but put some rumours to bed.
Well, I think people just don't understand the process, and that's fine.
Yeah, to a degree, yeah. But yeah, I've actually forgot what I was saying.
I think so you approached the club and they
on
said
this one.
yes.
Yes. On this one, yes.
I think what I want to put very clear is, and our line of questioning has always been dictated by us.
Yes.
And so our process will be, we'll find out a guest ranging, I don't know, sometimes it's like you're doing it tomorrow, sometimes it's you've got 2 weeks. You'll often put together a rough running order, we'll both go over it, we'll look through it, and then we'll film.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's a press officer in the room, sometimes there's not. But years ago, with a former press officer, there'd be a press officer sat in there, and then we'd edit it, edit it being I put the graphics on, there's nothing ever cut out, and then we'd send it to them.
Yeah.
But we have never, ever, with the 200 plus podcasts we filmed, cut anything out. Ever.
And one of the things I really like, because obviously we criticise the club at times, but I have to praise the club in this aspect, that they have always said, no, keep it all in, don't take anything out, always. And it actually started from the Anel Hernandez podcast. And I remember looking at Dan, the media man, and thinking, not a chance.
Yeah.
Is this, like, this is going to have to be the first time.
Well, it was
that
swearing,
episode
wasn't
100
it?
or was that 99?
100, I think.
Episode 100, yeah. And yeah, Anel was swearing and effing and jeffing and all of these like really strong statements. I was like, there's no way we're going to be able to watch it. And fair play to the club, because they were like, no, just do it. You know, get it out there. You know, they very much they do give us the autonomy to do it. So like that, I'm so pleased you brought that up, Jack. People need to understand this. Like, the questions that go to them are the questions that we write, we come up with. It's not driven by anything apart from what we think would make interesting content. So for example, oh no, you won't know yet. You won't know yet when this is dropped. But we've just secured another guest for the podcast, and yeah, literally the guests get secured. I've messaged them. We've arranged a date. We'll then come up with an initial running order. Jack and I bounce backwards and forwards, as you say, and then we just film it. And actually, there's been times where we've offered the club, said, do you want to look at this? And they're like, no, it's fine. Just get on with it. And I'm like, great. So, yeah.
Well, there's
like,
an exclusive for them anyway, that there's another podcast guest secured.
Yes.
No, I think the important thing here is I quite like that David, on a couple of occasions, didn't respond to a question.
Yes.
Because it's like, that shows that we haven't preempted anything, and guests are always very open. They're like, ask me whatever you want.
Yeah.
If I don't want to answer it, I won't.
Yeah.
But I think the overall, I really like what Wagner's about.
Yeah.
The club is far from perfect in any stretch at this current moment. We'll get onto it, I'm sure, in a moment. But I liked what he was as a man, and that's all we can say.
And the thing that just drives me crazy is, like, people think that like we've been used by the club to drive some sort of agenda, and like, it's just nonsense. Like, it makes me laugh because the people that are saying that clearly don't watch the podcast, because we literally slag them off one week and then we've got an interview the following week. So it's
put
like,
it this way, over the years, if we had have been slightly more careful around what we'd said, probably we would have had a lot more interviews.
I'm pleased you said that.
Because there was a period of probably 18 months
where
they wouldn't touch us.
Yeah.
Because I was quite strong on Farker.
Yeah.
Certain players, Sargent, we were both quite strong on.
Yeah.
The club wouldn't go near us.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, things have changed slightly.
Yeah.
And that's great.
We still criticise them.
Yeah.
Like we're going to tonight, because of course
I think the
got
lovely
battered by Burnley.
I think the lovely thing is, and this is a big thanks to you guys and us and our guests and our contributors have assembled a community based on trust and based on kindness as well. And players and staff know that they can come onto the podcast and be treated with respect. I think that's really nice, because
we're not going to throw them under the bus, because that is what some outlets do.
Exactly.
So,
we were thrown under the bus by Burnley.
Yes, Burnley battered us, basically.
Nice alliteration.
Thank you. I love a bit of that.
Vincent Company.
Burnley bossed us. They didn't batter us, they bossed us.
I was stupidly confident going into that game.
Yeah, standard.
I thought, I've watched a bit of Burnley this season, particularly in recent weeks, and thought, they've maybe scraped through with just individual bits of quality. And I thought, if we can put it up to them like we did against Preston, probably more so than Coventry, away from home, I was like, we've got a chance.
But Jack, they're Preston, not PSG. You know that saying.
And Burnley are almost Barcelona.
Honestly, I think that, I mean, we'll go on to the errors, the mistakes and all of that stuff in a minute, but I am putting out there, I think Burnley are actually one of the best teams that we've seen in Carrow Road in a year, in terms of the way that they've moved the ball, the way that they've pressed, tactically. In the Premier League last season, I think Burnley actually played a lot better than most of the Premier League teams that came to Carrow Road last season, Jack.
I think
everything was so sharp, smooth, efficient. You know, the half-time warm-up thing that they did, they've just got it right. I said at the start of the season, I said, look, Vincent Kompany at Burnley. It's either this is going to end up in a double relegation or they're going to absolutely destroy it. And they've done it. And fair play to them. And do you know what? Fair play to them because they are a proper club. With it, they've not sold their soul to the devil. Yes, they've been in the Premier League. They've got a good group of supporters there. We know a few of the fans there as well. And I'm pleased that Burnley are doing it. Fair play to them.
I think the amazing thing with Burnley is we played them in the Premier League. Remember when we beat them 2-0 or Adam Eder scored?
Oh,
it wasn't. I think
Everton,
you were on holiday actually. No, we beat Burnley as well.
No, that was PLM. That was a PLM pile driver.
That's it.
That was a PLM pile driver.
And they were turgid that day, and that was towards the end of the Sean Dyche era at Burnley. And what I was dead impressed with was not only the incredible development of the way they play football. Like it's a complete
night and day, isn't it?
Night and day.
Yeah.
The recruitment has been unbelievable.
So good.
So I think people often say, I think they spent 29 million quid in the summer.
Yeah.
It's a fair amount of money.
Yeah.
What people forget is they sold 70 million pounds worth of player.
They did so well selling.
And a lot of their Premier League loanees, I think Teller's on loan, Harwood Bellis is on loan from Premier League football clubs. Yeah. Matson, I think, as well. They've just... everything. Playing style, tactics, recruitment, bang on.
Do you know who's an absolute plar?
Zahori.
Zahore?
Is it?
Zahore? Yeah, I mean, it's... Wow.
He's
Zahore. He is a top player. And I like...
Ashley Barnes.
And now moving on to, dissecting the game, I guess, I'm going to kick off with this tweet that I've screenshotted from Ian Gabelli on Twitter. And he says, good thing is, we don't need to be as good as them, just good enough to beat the best of the rest, which I'm sure we can be. I thought that was actually quite a nice summary for me. And ultimately, people, in my opinion, let me know in the comments below if you disagree, I think a lot of fans are wetting their pants a little bit, Jack, over that Burnley result.
I think there's two ways to look at it. I think one is Ian's take, and I think that's very fair, and I think that's the optimistic look, and I like that. Did you watch Michael Bailey's review?
Oh, I haven't watched it yet, no.
Whoosh, he was down.
Really?
Really down.
Was he?
And I kind of get it because...
Was he?
He was saying in terms of clubs you can compare Norwich to, Burnley are basically the same. Like, similar size, Premier League in recent years.
Yeah.
And
there's a big gap.
In terms of recruitment, we couldn't have got it more wrong compared to Burnley.
Yeah.
And I think he was looking at that and going, yes, Burnley are ahead of us, and yes, there's still a chance of promotion, but that shouldn't be the case. We came down with them. We beat them last season.
Yeah.
We're on similar points to them last season. And yet now, because of a capable coach and some good recruitment, they're like 30 points ahead of us.
All right.
And that shouldn't be the case.
Okay, you've gone negative. Now let me hit you.
That's Michael Bailey's opinion.
Let me hit you with a positive, which is that actually further... I mean, I was down after the game at the weekend because it was like such a big game. Like, just give it everything. And to be honest, I know it's quite easy. I honestly felt like Norwich didn't turn up. Like, I can't remember a spell of play or, in games where you have like a 5 or 10 minutes where you go, whoa, like we're on it, we're speeding up, we're building something. Oh, come on, here we go. The goal's coming. We didn't get that all game at all. What was my point? But the positive is that Burnley didn't, they just did the basics so well. It wasn't, we've spoken about all of their individual talent, but I don't think that talent necessarily shone as individuals.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
All of their goals were pony. They were mistakes.
Yeah.
Poor zonal marking from corners, and unfortunately, we have to talk about it. It's a stinker from Timmy Krul. So
yeah, and I think worryingly for Tim is.
But sorry, quick before we go, Tim Krul. But the point I was making on that, Jack, is that you could argue that actually it's our fault that we lost that game 3-0. Right. They didn't blow us away with some magnificent talent. They just bossed the basics.
Yeah.
And it was our fault that we lost that.
they didn't create too much.
But don't get me wrong, they absolutely deserved the win. I'm not trying to say it. I'm just saying we really bought that 3-0 loss upon ourselves.
I think when your home form is as bad as ours, and let's not forget, Wagner's now lost both of his Carrow Road games.
Yes.
And for those of us like us fair weather fans who don't travel away from home, we've been served some proper dross. So to go into a huge game like this, and after 6 minutes, Tim Krul does what he does, you're suddenly climbing a huge mountain.
Yeah.
I've watched that Krul error back 20 times now, and I still can't.
It's a nightmare, isn't it?
I can't work any of it out.
Yeah.
There is not a Norwich player near where he passes the ball.
I feel for Timmy because it's just you can't.
The worry is, Chris. The worry here is this didn't come out of nowhere. Coventry, yes, we won the game, but he did it twice in the first 20 minutes, and they should have scored. Very similar thing happening against Blackburn. I know that was more Grant Hanley.
Yeah.
And there were also a couple of times against Preston where he did it.
Well,
and a lot of people now will be saying the Angus Gunn Tim Krul argument is no longer an argument. If Angus Gunn's fit, Angus Gunn starts.
Well, I think in a sense it's fortuitous that Angus is injured at the moment. I find it. It's difficult. I have to admit, I know them and like them both. So I struggle to. My emotions are that I feel for Tim because it's a big mistake. I feel for him because afterwards, what I will say, which I'm sure people will agree on, because I saw a few people tweet it as well. The sarcastic cheers and jeers and, like all of a sudden calling it to be booted long, but actually that was what was heavily criticised under Dino. So it was like, hang on a minute, what do you want, Barkley? And I just it reminded me, Jack, that we're not out of the woods yet. We've got a lot of work to do in terms of, I feel like Carrow Road has been poisoned. I feel like there's a lot of toxicity still within Carrow Road that we still need to flush out of our system, and that showed with that Tim Krul mistake. So yes, it was a mistake. Yes, it was a stinker. I feel for Tim because it is a shocker. But what I have to make clear is that I think that as Norwich City fans, we can do better. And I think from that point on, how good would it have been? How good would it have been? And I saw this after the Wolves game against Liverpool. Before the final whistle goes, and I know that they're winning 3-0, but hear me out. The crowd give them an ovation and they're clapping and they're like being like, they're like giving it to their team. They're giving their team some support. And how powerful would it have been then if Tim had made that mistake and we'd all gone, Timmy, Krul, or like just gone like, go on, Tim, like, just encourage the lad because, I mean, he looked broken.
I think the difficulty is, Chris, is when you've won, I don't know what it is,
I
1
know.
in 10
I know it's difficult.
I know what you mean.
It's difficult.
I tell you what was I didn't think it would make such a difference. The Barkley without the drum, silent again.
Well, do you know what? I'll put this out there. Good. For all the people that slagged off the drum, have some of that. Because they've been proven wrong. I've said it for so long that we needed that in the Barkley because it's like a morgue.
Where was the drummer?
Well, I reckon he was in Tenerife on holiday.
Tanning up.
No, on a serious note, big up City Elite. I actually don't know where City Elite were.
We should all chip in 20p each.
Yeah.
A bit decent.
Where's the sub drummer? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, surely you need
Maybe
like
they
a
can
line
get that
of
guy
drummers.
from the club shop again that was just like on that podium smiling.
That's our constructive feedback to City Elite. You need a sub drummer.
Yeah, okay. You need a sub drummer. But the atmosphere sucked. But to be fair, Jack, that's because we got nothing on the pitch. It's got to come from there. Kenny McLean said it himself. It's got to come from on the pitch. And the only thing I would say, and Darren Eadie said this in his review piece on TalkNorwichCity, is he said that we need to improve in attacking areas. There was a lot of talk on social media after the game, Jack, of obviously Tim Krul taking a lot of the heat for his whatever it was. Grant Hanley was getting a lot of stick. The defence in general were getting a lot of stick. The midfielders allegedly trying to protect the defence. But what Darren says is actually we need to improve in attacking areas. And that showed, didn't it? Because the one chance that we had against Burnley when they were bossing us was when Pookie broke through, fed a beautiful ball through to Kieran Dowell to just tap it home, but he couldn't finish it. Like, that's the difference, isn't it? Because then the game changes, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there were it's never as bad as you think. It's never as good as you think.
Yes.
Burnley, as you say, didn't create too much. 2 from a corner. One of them was particularly poor defending, and one that we just passed them.
Yeah.
We had a penalty. Should have had a penalty, and Dow should be scoring.
Yeah.
It could be very different. Should we get some Twitter questions?
Yes. Okay. Questions.
That was enthusiastic.
Yeah. Well, you told me to start it
Yeah,
for
it
the
was
first
very-
time, so I thought it was.
It's about time we put some passion into
Good.
it.
Oh, here's the other thing for the Wagner podcast. One of the other bullshit rumours. We edit things out. Can I just say, this camera that you're watching, it actually stops after, is it 26 minutes?
About 26 minutes.
Your bloody tin pot camera, like, just turns off. So if you ever see a gap, it's because it's literally the camera.
The other rumour was that the club pay us, and I can confirm that is true because...
Someone said I don't even pay for my season ticket.
Yeah, I did see that.
Sorry, continue on.
It's not a coincidence that we're suddenly filming in this ivory tower after doing a podcast with David Wagner. That's all I'm saying.
What does that mean?
I mean, they bought you a house. A very nice one.
Could you imagine if they actually did? That'd be class. Right, here we go then. Let's kick off the big topic from last weekend is Tim Krul. Ryan M11M. His Twitter bio is simply Norwich City season ticket holder. Class, brilliant. He says, I think people are being harsh on Krul. We were second when he was initially dropped, and we've fell down the table since, similar to Hanley. When he makes a mistake or has a bad game, people are quick to say they should be dropped without appreciating what they bring to the squad. What's your take on that, Jack?
Yeah, I think it's really difficult to analyse goalkeepers, isn't it? Because look, I think Krul is more capable of making a mistake than Angus, but equally, I think if you look at the raw numbers, I haven't got it to hand. I think points per game are actually better with Krul in the side.
Right.
But that's dependent on who you play and how the defence is performing, etc.
But there are stats in favour of Angus too, right? And this is the interesting thing. Like, it depends on the way you spin them.
I would say what you've got with Angus is he's slightly better with his feet. I think he's better at distributing the ball. And from what we've seen in the early stages of Wagner, that's going to be incredibly important for a goalkeeper, because there were a lot of times where there was huge amounts of pressure on the goalkeeper to find a pass, and Krul wasn't able to do that. I'm just concerned from a standpoint of each game that he's played for Wagner so far, there's been a mistake. Some have led to goals, some haven't. Equally, he's a very capable goalkeeper.
What about this though, Jack? Let's put this in the room. Maybe there are some mistakes because he's not been playing as much, because Angus has been in, right? This is the thing when you chop and change your goalkeeper.
I think they're both very capable goalkeepers. I think Krul would get, as I said, I think he'd start for 20 of the 24 championship teams.
Yeah. I agree.
I think a lot of people would also argue he's a better leader.
Yeah.
I think, look,
but
we can take Saturday in isolation.
Yeah.
The first goal was definitely his fault, and I think the second goal was partially his fault as well.
The corner.
Didn't claim it, was all over the place. Equally, he's been very good for Norwich, and I think still has a part to play.
I will stand by it. I've always said this and always will. Tim Krul is a Norwich City legend.
Yeah.
He's got 2 title-winning medals around
Can't
his
argue
neck.
that.
Cup heroics. Well, to be fair, heroics on many levels in many games. He has, and someone else tweeted this, so I won't take the credit for it, so don't quote me on this. But he has saved us so many more points than he's cost us. And so I do agree with the sentiment here from Ryan. Like, let's go easy on Timmy, all right? You know, I don't... and ultimately, David Wagner's got a decision to make now when Angus gets back again.
I think the other thing to say here is when he came in against Preston, there was a lot of controversy that it wasn't Angus, and he kept the clean sheet on that day, and also made a few really big saves.
And he was bloody superb. I loved it when he got Giannoulis up by the neck and he went like that.
And Krul's got that, and I think he's...
Yeah.
I don't know for sure, but I suspect he's an incredibly influential character in the dressing room.
He is.
I'm just going to say, Chris, because I've just finished my bottle.
Oh, God, yeah. We haven't done sponsors plugs yet.
Laken's is still doing 20% off.
Still?
And I met with them on Friday.
Have they brewed more beer then?
Well, there's a huge expansion at the brewery because they needed to brew more. And that's not even a joke.
Well, I'm not surprised, to be honest.
They bought loads more warehouse room.
You haven't actually told me this.
To expand the brewery because they have to brew more beer.
That is
And that's not even a joke.
And whilst we're on to sponsors...
So anyway, Laken's, link in the description, 20% off. I I don't know if it's going to last forever.
Dry January's over.
It is very much over.
It's very much wet February.
Did you know
and speaking of wet February...
Did you know I lost nearly a stone?
Yeah, well done.
Thanks,
seriously.
mate.
That's class from you. That is actually class from you.
And now I've put it all back on.
And speaking of wet February, it's the season of love. And
oh, goodness.
Nor have supplied us with some Valentine's chocolate to
really?
take you all through.
Oh, there's love hearts
Yeah,
on
there's
there.
lots of love hearts going on the bars this month. Punchy,
Are these for me?
crunchy peanut butter, mint, if you're a mint fan. Fudge Crunch, I know you're a fan of that one,
This
Jack.
one literally says love on it.
These are love hot chocolate dippers. I mean, I tell you what, that's the sort of thing where if you get a hot chocolate bomb out
A love
for
dip.
the missus or the man in your life, that will seriously get them going.
It will do.
So I cannot recommend it enough. And you can get discount in the description.
This is a love bomb. No, it's a love you chocolate, but I'm calling it a love bomb.
We need to be very careful with using the word love.
No, Valentine's is coming up, and in all seriousness,
Yes.
if you've got
And Easter. Let's start talking about that as well.
why not?
It's
Throw that in
every
the room.
season is chocolate season.
In all seriousness, if you do have someone you want to gift to someone else or gift to yourself, self-love, my friends. Nor, what a lovely place to go.
Everyone likes a bit
Link
of
in the
self-love.
description. The code is there. Again, whisper it quietly because we're mugging them off big time with that discount code. But take advantage.
The chocolate factory, it's turned into like the Norfolk Willy Wonka now.
Well, absolutely.
It's crazy.
I run in like a Oompa Loompa and jump in the chocolate fountain.
On a serious note, I actually really like. I have to admit, I've got a bit of a thing. My secret to getting over Norwich City losing is I just devour some Knorr.
You
I just
do eat
gnaw.
a lot of chocolate.
I gnaw some Knorr. I get home and the first thing I say to Becky, I say, Becky, get me some Knorr out the fridge. I don't say that. I definitely don't boss her about.
You keep it in the fridge.
But honestly, the first thing that happens when you get home from a loss, you get the bar of Knorr out and you're laughing. And if you've already got money off, you're laughing. Right, Twitter questions.
Stuart says,
Go on.
Stuart Land.
Okay.
He's in Norwich City, Lower Berkeley, Block C. He's got a dog and he owns a business. Stuart says McLean plays a crucial role in this squad, and the way that Wagner wants to play, a lot of people forget what he brings to the team.
The Scottish Iniesta, as I've started calling him, has been magnificent under Wagner. I'm so happy for him because, of course, he was a scapegoat for a long time. But actually, much like many players, they suit certain systems and certain styles. And actually, I would say one of the reasons why Burnley bossed us at the weekend was that they completely nullified McLean. They stopped him doing what he has been doing in those 2 games prior to that.
Nullified the whole midfield.
He had the freedom to play and pick the passes, and it just couldn't happen. So, yeah, I think McLean was actually one of our better players against Burnley. But that's a bad thing, right? Because nothing really
I tell
happens,
you,
so.
not McLean, but midfield related.
Go on.
And I'll throw a positive in the room. For the first time in probably 4 months, I walked away from Carrow Road going, I was impressed with Nunes today.
Really?
I thought he came on and I thought there was a bit about him.
Yeah, and
I
there was a
liked
bit of he tried to pick the pass, the creative pass, to do something different, and that's what we fell in love with Nunes.
Unlike every other player, and it's not even a criticism of us, Burnley were very good. He'd found some space.
I'm telling you now that Nunes very much Mario Vrancic syndrome. I will put my mortgage on it right now that next season he is going to be outstanding for us. Jonathan Parker. Let's lighten the tone from Jonathan. He says, I thought back to my biggest high and biggest low watching Carrow Road. He's obviously feeling quite cathartic, maybe going through some Norwich City counselling after the Burnley loss. He says, I was at the draw with Bayern Munich that knocked them out. Low was the 7-1 defeat to Colchester. What are your high and low moments at Carrow Road?
Would have loved to have been at Munich. Just both fixtures. Low, I've only ever left one game early.
I know which one it is as well.
And that was Sunderland.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know why that sticks in my head. I think it was at that point I thought there might be a chance of survival. We lost 3-0, I think, at Carrow Road.
Is that the only game you've left at home?
Yeah.
You've left early, sorry.
Yeah.
Crazy. So that's your low.
My
Sunderland
high,
at home. You're so young. As if that's your low.
Well, that is different to the Colchester one.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because
that's the obvious one,
right?
right?
That is so bad.
I would say, I tell you what didn't make me feel young when I got my season ticket. You know, the email the other day.
Oh my god, yeah.
What was yours? Must have been like 20 years past, was it? Mine was like 11 years, I think.
Yeah, but do you know what annoyed me about that? The player you've seen the most,
Grant Hanley.
Grant Hanley. I was like, Okay. No offence,
Love you, Grant.
I wanted something more exciting
Hi.
there.
Probably Carrow. Ipswich in the playoffs.
That was
Epic.
that was good.
Man City.
Oh,
Unreal.
that Man City's my high, but if you choose Man City, I'll go
Ipswich in the playoffs was epic.
Ipswich playoff semi-final. But you know what was good as well? The 4-1 at home when it was snowing outside and Grant Holt did the old moustache celebration.
Yeah.
That was epic.
Yeah. Just every time we've played Ipswich.
I think Man City at home, that was phenomenal.
I remember that game being just seismic in terms of, because we were obviously still doing TNC at that point, but it was a lot smaller than what it is now. And you were probably the same, but I reckon for 2 or 3 days following that, my phone, no joke, was just off the hook with like BBC 5 Live, Sky Sports.
Yeah.
They all just wanted a bit of Norwich.
Don't blame
We
them.
were fresh on the scene.
There you go.
Farkable, lovely stuff.
My high, if you're interested, if it's not Nora Lakens, is at Carrow Road. Sorry, not high, low. My low is that 7-1 was horrific, by the way.
There's a lot of lows.
I cried that night.
Did you?
I went home and I cried.
Really?
I actually cried. I was so depressed. I cried. I'm not joking. I'm happy to admit it, mate. That was shocking. Yeah, but Gunny was mate. My fucking mate was in charge. It was shocking.
You were about 19.
I
weren't
was
you?
I was so upset that day. I was honestly so upset that day. To be fair, there's been so many depressing Carrow Road results.
There have
right,
been.
I
Yeah.
want to talk about something.
Okay.
The curse of Carrow Road.
Yeah.
There is a curse at Carrow Road right now.
In what sense?
Results, performances.
Yeah.
How do we change that? There's been discussion, Jack, around the atmosphere, around the fans, around, can we change something in terms of what can the stadia do, the PA, the music, like how do we lift this curse of Carrow Road?
It's interesting you say that. I saw Joe Ferrari, a former Norwich head of communications, put that.
Who said yes to Russ, by the way? That was the
do
first.
what he said.
First yes.
Do what you need to do. Clappers, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And the first reply was like clappers, drums, whatever, irrelevant. We just need like recruitment to be better.
Do you remember when someone lobbed a clapper at Chris Hughton?
Yeah, didn't Snoddy get one as well in the face?
Probably.
I just think this stuff
probably
is.
deserved
I think
it,
this
though.
stuff is really simple. I think we always overcomplicate it. Norwich City need to be winning games,
Yes.
and
Correct.
I think a lot of it comes from pitch first, then it will translate into fans.
Yes.
As many clappers or drums or whatever nonsense you want, it's not going to help realistically on pitch performance.
Ready to be depressed?
Yes.
Maxim Carver.
What about if I'm already depressed?
He says we've made more. By the way, we're not laughing at depression. By the way, that's actually really serious, and that's let's not talk about
Depressed with Norwich City.
that. Depressed with Norwich City, to be very clear.
Very different things.
We've made more errors leading to shots on our goal than any team in Europe's top leagues this season.
Yeah.
However well we play, we always look like conceding at least one. I think playing out has been harder for the defence as we don't have a natural linking midfielder. Interesting.
Well,
and I think Wagner's got this problem now, right? He's got, again, and by the way, Dino had it. I know Dino was dire in terms of the results and the performances because we just never looked like scoring. But ultimately, this is a mishmash of poor recruitment, right?
Yeah, well, I think I saw the stat. It was Norwich have made more like individual errors leading to goals or leading to shots, as Maxim said, but it's like double that of anyone in the Championship.
That is a crazy stat.
And it's difficult because you can only do so much, but you can't, like, idiocy is down to the players itself. Like, there's nothing you can do to stop Tim Krul making that error at the weekend. And there's been a lot of occasions like that this season.
Yes.
I think there's a few things. I think confidence is a big thing.
Yes, agreed.
I think if your strikers are scoring goals, you forget about Tim making that mistake because you've
Doesn't
won the
matter.
game.
Well, Lambert days, you score one, we'll
Exactly.
score two more.
And I think we will see that a little bit with David Wagner because he's asking a lot of his players.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's been a lot.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of
I agree.
errors.
Yeah, I agree. There's been so many questions on Tim Krul, Angus Gunn, Ollie Burns, Nathan Barker, Evan, who has got a picture of me as his profile picture.
You know what?
Josh Stewart. They're all like Angus Gunny. But actually, what I'm noticing is there is this sort of sentiment of we respect Tim Krul, and a lot of people are saying, yes, there were mistakes, but we need to do better. We can't be doing sarcastic jeers and stuff. So that's quite good to see in the comments.
I think it is, Chris. I think it's dangerous with a lot of this stuff to get distracted from the real issues. Like, realistically, Krul's not a problem. Hanley wasn't a problem when he made the mistake. McLean wasn't a problem. The problem here is years of chronic poor recruitment, 5-6 months this season of poor management.
Yeah.
And there will be errors. Every team has errors in them. Krul's not the problem. Hanley's not the problem. McLean's the problem. The problem is deeper. But it's easy to pinpoint Tim Krul and go, well, it's his fault we lost. It's not his fault we lost.
Because people want a scapegoat.
No, I don't even think it's that. It's just the easy thing to blame. And I think we're all guilty of it. You need to look deeper here. And
yes, I agree.
Yeah, I think it's an easy cop-out of just going, it's Tim's fault, or it's Hanley's fault, or it's McLean's fault.
I agree.
And
but, you look at the defence. And by the way, replacing Alex Tete. There's areas all over the pitch where you could say, we're still, playing these types of players, or we still haven't replaced, I don't know. I know Buendia is a bit different because the class is up here, but Tete, or, and so...
Skip.
Yeah. The thing on the goalkeepers particularly, I'm particularly soft on goalkeepers in my opinion, because I'm of the faith they are your absolute last line of defence.
Yeah.
They are your last gasp, right? But ultimately, if your defence were a fucking brick wall, they ain't getting near the goal anyway, to a degree. And so I do think we need to put some more empathy and understanding on this. Moleman, he's got a profile picture of a mole.
Obviously.
And he said he in his bio, he says, leader of the anti-ankle basher league. No idea what that is. Moleman says, rant. I'm fed up with our fans passing off Saturday as Burnley are top of the league, so it's okay. It's not okay. Burnley created very little. Doesn't matter if it was Burnley or Wigan. We'll lose to anyone if we play like that. Fact.
I think that's a bit harsh. I don't think we were that.
To a degree, I think he's right.
I don't think we were that bad.
No. The goals we conceded, I agree with Moleman.
Yeah,
I agree with Moleman.
I think where Moleman does have a very good point is we suddenly, in a very short space of time, have gone from we're better than Burnley in the Premier League last season. I think we were better than Burnley for a period. Mm-hmm. Coming down with them and going, we should be competing with Burnley. It should be us two in the top two. To going. Yeah. Well, it's Burnley. Obviously, they're going to be 30 points above us. That's a lot's changed in a very short amount of time.
Yes.
And we have to look at why.
Yes, agreed. What is also interesting around, let me sort of go back on my word with Moleman there, is, and people have said, and I've said it myself, Burnley are flying the top of the league. You're never going to get anywhere near Burnley this season. And to be fair, it's true. They've won the league. It's done. But we haven't beaten, I think, don't quote me on this, people, I think we've not beaten any of the top six all season. I could be wrong there. Quote me if I'm wrong. I'm happy to be wrong.
Sounds about right.
And that's a problem because we are expecting Wagner's Whopper on Wembley Way. And we ain't going to get Wagner's Whopper on Wembley Way if we lose to all of the top six all the time.
Well, let me tell you our next 6 games because we don't have to play the top 6. Actually, I think Millwall in the top 6? Don't know. Next 6 games.
Yeah.
Bristol City away.
Win.
Hull at home.
Win.
Wigan away.
Win.
Birmingham at home.
Win.
Cardiff at home.
Win.
Millwall away.
Fucking hell, we're going to win all those games.
So next 6 games, Joe asks how many points, and you're saying
we might have a couple of draws.
3, 6, 9, 18 points.
I'm up for that. I'm up for it. I've got faith. Listening to David Wagner on our podcast, and hearing some of the goings on behind the scenes and the players buying into it, and don't forget, with every day that goes by, these players are learning and understanding how to play Wagner ball. Okay, so they're learning. There ain't a better team than Burnley in this league. I even think okay, let's talk about second best in this league, Sheffield United.
Should have beaten them.
It's basic stuff.
Should have beaten them.
It's very beatable. It is. So for me,
no,
look. Call me deluded, a blind optimist, whatever. I think we win all of those games.
I think the next, well, I very much hope so, and I think we've got a good chance. And I think by the end of that point, we'll have a very good sample to look at and go, we know where we're at now under Wagner.
And this links to Lenny Millington's question. He says, "Do you think we should have a rebuild season with Wagner and write this season off due to poor form, what Dean Smith left us in, and the players we have not being the best, especially if we do go up? As we'd see the classic old Norwich get relegated again." I don't agree with writing the season off, Lenny, at all. I also don't agree with and I know that Twitter's only characters, by the way. Thanks for the question, I appreciate it. And I know that you listen and watch, and I love you, Lenny.
We love you, Lenny.
I love that from you, Lenny. But again, look at this here. Dean Smith. It's not actually just Dean Smith. What about Stuart Webber? What about the scouts? What about the players just not actually putting in everything they should be doing in some circumstances, wanting to leave the club, etc.? So we can't write off this season.
I love Lenny, but that argument is just bollocks. That you have to.
That's strong.
It is, though. I mean, okay, so we'll write off this season. Okay, so we'll lose Pookie, we'll lose Sargent, we'll lose Aarons, Angus will be off. We'll lose all our best players because they won't want to be in the Championship. We won't have much money left because of parachute payments. So then what? You've got a far weaker squad, a squad that knows that they can very capable of losing Championship games, and then what? And then you're stuck in the division for another season. You have to bounce back quickly.
Yeah.
You can't write seasons
The
off.
only thing I'd positively challenge on that, Jack, is I do think half those players will stay because we won't get offers for them. That's my opinion.
Okay, well, I don't know. I think it's very dangerous to go of the lines of let's rebuild for a season and then we'll go up, because there's no guarantee, and I think your best chance of bouncing back is in the first season.
Yes.
I've got a question from Brett.
Go on then.
And I'd like to ask it.
Go on then.
I think we have to talk about it. Todd Cantwell.
Yes.
He put out a little Instagram story, very down with the kids earlier. And Brett asks, what are our thoughts on Todd Cantwell's recent statement? Well, I've got Todd Cantwell's recent statement on here, so I will quote it and we can discuss what we think of it. So Todd put on Instagram just a quick statement. The leaving of my boyhood club may have seemed strange to some in terms of my words. The situation and the way I was treated will be revealed, and my fans and the fans of the club will know the truth. I'm so happy again and enjoying my football at the amazing Rangers. Before we get into that statement, a good friend of mine was at the Rangers game on Saturday and said Todd was unreal. And he got man of the match. So nice to see.
I've got a lot of Rangers buddies too, and they are saying that they're liking the look of Todd. So fair play.
Nice to see him back playing football and enjoying it.
Yeah.
What do you think of the statement, if there is anything to think of?
I'm not sure the statement was necessary.
Okay.
But then I put myself in Todd's shoes.
It was probably getting pelted all day, every day, isn't it?
I think that he's getting a lot of... I think he's probably still getting a lot of people saying, well, hang on a minute. And now the new thing that's going to happen is, now he's at a new club in a new environment with new people that really care for him and really value him and really want him to do well. They're not just casting him aside. They're not bullying him. None of that nonsense. Obviously, he's going to do well. And by the way, Rangers are at the top of the bloody league, or nearabouts. I think Celtic are, aren't they? But obviously, Rangers are flying up the league. They're a team with confidence. They're a team that play nice, pretty football. They're a team that win most games. So, of course, Todd's going to do better to a degree. But I do find it interesting that he's put that statement out. I'm also really happy that he's put that statement out, Jack, because I'm really looking forward to Todd sharing his side of the story. I mean, I get pelters for it. I continue to get pelters for it. I am just always of the faith. What gives me the biggest buzz doing Talk Norwich City, I've said this so many times, sorry for sounding like a broken record, people, is when we hear the players' side of the story, the players' truth, the players' perspective, the players' stories, the players' insights, because everyone hears from the club officials, everyone hears the journalists and the fans' perspective, but how often do we hear about the players? And I think with Todd, it's a case of there's two sides of the story and then there's the truth, okay? But at the moment, we're only being fed stuff that's been passed through club officials, and also bullshit rumours flying about social media. So that statement, I'm not sure it's necessary, but I'm very happy that he is going to vocalise why he's been the way he's been and what's gone on, and I'm looking forward to it. And I've had a couple of comments about it tonight. Oh, Chris, it's bullshit. He's just doing it for attention. He's never going to say it. Blah blah blah. He's going to say it. He will say his side of the story. I'm telling you now. And I think that people will really... I don't think they'll completely change their mind. I feel like this has got, Harry, Meghan vibes about it, right? It's got to that sort of situation, obviously not on that scale.
Yeah.
I think if you're a Todd fan, Todd will tell his story and you'll love Todd more. I think if you're a Todd hater, for some reason, then I think that when he speaks, you would have already made your mind up. But look, just hear him out. I think it's important in life that you hear every side of the story before you come to your conclusion, and we haven't had that yet.
I think the thing for Todd as well, he was at Norwich for 14 years, if not longer. He's probably looking for some closure. Like, he wants to just go, this is my bit, you take it or you leave it.
Yeah, that's true. So arguably it's selfish, but good on him, fair play.
Because he didn't really have a goodbye. It was very quick how it all happened. Yeah. If I was Todd, I'd be going, I want to say my bit. If you believe me, fine. If you don't, also fine.
After taking all the shit that he's taken, I'm not surprised he wants to say something. And I'm very, very confident that he will tell his story when he's ready.
So you think we're winning our next 6 games?
Yeah, I do. I don't know why, because after the Burnley game, I just think Burnley are so good, and I don't think, like everyone else I've seen in the league this season, has been monumentally average.
Yeah.
And by monumentally average, that's been kind. I think most of them have been turgid, shit, pub teams. Genuinely.
Well, look, we're going to win on Saturday.
Yes, obviously.
I'm actually going to Bristol City. Unbelievable. I know. Check my temperature.
Hello.
We've got a brilliant podcast coming out next week.
Yes,
you nearly teased it.
So yeah, I'm going to be filming the podcast.
It's coming out next Monday.
Yeah, fine. So I'm filming the podcast with the guest. I almost said their name then. And then it's coming out the week after.
Brilliant. I'm looking forward to it.
No, I am too.
Thanks very much for watching. Thanks all for your recent support.
Yes, agreed. And let us know on social media your thoughts, as always. If you've enjoyed this podcast, you know the score, people. Take a picture of where you're watching it all over the world, screenshot it, whatever. Tag TalkNorwichCity. We'll share it all over our Instagram and Twitter because it's what we can do to thank you.
And if you didn't enjoy it, you can tweet us at Chris Revo.
Don't do that. Not after last week.
Good to see you.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.